Hi, everybody. Welcome back for week 3 of acting the role Beatrice. We're continuing to dive here deeply on the role of Beatrice in Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. Excited for you to come back and see where the group keeps going with all this. This, as you have undoubtedly already discovered if you've watched the previous sessions, these are unscripted sessions. These are real-time working rehearsals, which I love. And if you ever wondered what goes from on the page to what you see on the stage, how does that happen? Well, what are the conversations? This is part of that process. So yeah, welcome back to the rehearsal room. If you haven't seen the first 2 weeks, go back, check those out. It's kind of a building process, but you could just watch this and then go back, or you could pause this and go watch the others, whatever you prefer. And we are on Patreon, so you can support the project there. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put those below, and we'll get to those as we can. If you enjoy this, hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on anything coming up ahead. And yeah, I think that's it. I'll head out of here for the group to get going on week 3, and hope everybody has a great time. I'll see you later.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. We have one fellow down, so Anu is not going to be with us this week, but that's okay. We'll just keep it going. It's funny. I don't know when to bring this up, but as I was looking forward into what we haven't covered yet, there's something that I would love to. I don't want to put you on the spot, Kat. We could start working on the scene if you want to think about this, but the whole thing about eating your words, and I'd eat his heart in the marketplace, and will you not eat your words, and such. What exactly is the origin of that? What is the thing that we should know, kind of thing?
Yeah, I might have to look it up if you want sort of the origin of it. I don't know offhand, but the meaning of it, right, is to take it back. So you protest something, or you swear something, and then you eat it. What's interesting to me is that it's there are other ways to say it. Like in other Shakespeare plays, he uses the word forsworn a lot. It's in Romeo and Juliet a lot. So one thing that came up last week was this idea of eating and food as kind of a consistent theme in this play. So it kind of makes sense to me that it's eating. And then again, it's, as you're saying, it sets her up for this eating of a heart. So there's something about a concern about your two things, right? Words are both too potent in this play, right? When the men abuse their words in that formal setting of the wedding, that should be about words bringing people together, but instead it becomes this divisive pushing apart, right? So a man just has to say something and swear to it, and then they all act like it's true, right? But then there's also, coming mostly from Beatrice, before and after that, related to Benedict, a fear of, you say your words, you're swearing something, and then you take it back, then you eat it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's, again, it seems to me it's a little bit of her wanting something to be true and honest and
talking.
Yeah.
Quickly grab, but keep talking because this is
your food.
Yeah.
Food is speaking.
Yeah.
So again, the word that she repeats a lot is swear too. Don't, again, when she's criticizing the men, they just swear these things. And then with Benedict, don't don't say these things and then eat them and then take them back. It's interesting. It seems to me like an antithetical thing when she's talking about eating his heart in the marketplace. That seems to me like the opposite. I would do something to, avenge if I could.
And it feels also very primal, to go to food, this thing, and she would be the woman of if anything, eating a heart in the marketplace, something that nobody did, much less a woman eating this man's heart in the marketplace. I mean, I think that also
humans
of food, is very primal and primitive, and this thing of survival. And I think what you're thinking with you're saying with the antithetical, I feel like maybe there's this aspect of survival and love, these connections and these relationships and the need to survive. And maybe that's the idea of I don't know. Just that the idea that we all need to belong, and maybe that's part of it. I mean, his way of like, interweaving that.
I mean, the baseness of it. I mean, let's face it, that's what our lizard brains focus on.
Yeah.
Sex, eating, and death.
Yeah.
That's it. So the idea, I do love, it's quite a thing for her to say about, eating his heart in the marketplace. It's like, oh, be mad. So just with that in mind, because it is Much Ado About Nothing, the idea that it's all about words. They have the dynamic of their word play, intelligence, the idea that Claudio can just say this happened, and the prince too, and they're immediately believed. There is no question. I rereading the wedding scene, it's just heartbreaking to me how absolute Leonardo, how he absolutely believes that this could happen. And when Hero faints, and then she, kind of starts waking back up, and he's like, so soon, and I'm like, you don't know it.
Yeah.
You've known this child since she was a baby. Have you ever? It's just remarkable to me. It's just yeah. So let's look at the second scene. Did we do this? I can't remember if we did the second half of the dance with will you not tell me who told you so? I don't think we did that.
I don't think we did that.
No, because I'm attaching it to the beginning part of 2-1.
Yeah, we left off with the Scotch jig and the which is hilarious with the description of the wedding. I was just thinking about that shows up. The wedding, mannerly, modest as a measure, full of state and ancientry. So planting the idea that weddings so peaceful, so polite. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love doing this. I love that speech. I love doing all of it. Yeah. But all righty. So I don't even really have to decide. So Shannon, you're gonna do the wedding because you haven't done either of these final scenes. So Juls, I want you to read Beatrice in this one, and then we're gonna have Shannon read Benedict in this little one here. Let's figure out what they're saying. So for our friends in out there land, this is according to the Folger. This is Act 2, Scene 1, line 23. Beatrice. Let's read this.
The one that starts, will you not tell me who told you so? That one, right? Okay. For some reason, the line in this one is very different. I'm confused. You just told Jules to read Beatrice, but you said, Shannon, you're doing this. So
oh no, I'm not. I thought I don't know if I said you'll do the wedding.
Okay.
So what is the line that we're starting on?
Will you not tell me who told you so? Beatrice's line, 123.
Are you on the Folger, Jules?
I'm on. Yeah, are you?
It's on page 45 or 46 in the Folger, I think. If you're doing the full play and scrolling.
Will you not tell me who told you so?
Uh-huh.
Great. Will you not tell me who told you so? Told you so.
No, you shall pardon me.
Nor will you not tell me who you are?
Not now.
That I was disdainful, and that I had my good wit out of the 100 merry tales. Well, this was Signor Benedict that said so.
Okay, let's just clarify that line. That I was disdainful, and I had my good wit out of the 100 merry tales. Essentially, that he's saying her source material is a bad joke book. Insulting.
100 merry tales.
Yeah, 100 merry tales. Well, and so immediately, oh, come on. She knows immediately.
Gotta be him. I also love that it's a straight up, no, I'm not going to tell you. And then Benedict is like, not now. And makes me wonder if he means like, oh, not now that we're in the middle of this, now that you have this piece of information, I could have told you earlier, but not anymore. Or not now, I'm leading up to the reveal.
Right, because it traditionally in the Mask, there's a moment at the end, right, where everybody reveals, isn't there? Is there in the
Maybe.
formality of it? I'll have to look that up. But yeah. So okay, so pick it up with well, this was Senior Benedict that said so.
Well, this was Senior Benedict that said so.
What's he?
I am sure you know him well enough.
Not I, believe me.
Did he ever make you laugh?
Never.
I pray you, what is he?
Did he never make you laugh?
No.
But he is the prince's jester, a very dull fool. Only his gift is in devising impossible slanders. None but libertines delight in him. And the commendation is not in his wit, but in his villainy. For he both pleases men and angers them, and then they laugh at him and beat him. I am sure he is in the fleet. I'm sure he is in the fleet. I would he had boarded me.
Okay, let's
When
do
I
that.
know the gentleman.
Why? He's the prince's jester.
Boarded me.
Oh, fool. So the role of a jester in the court.
Yeah, professional buffoon, right?
And he license.
Yeah. And then, but a dull wit. He's not very good at it, right? His only gift is devising impossible slanders, just ridiculous
Lies. Picking up lies about people.
Yeah.
I think it's
Who
interesting.
could he be lying about on a regular basis?
Only libertines delight on him, which is interesting. Commendation is not his wit, but his villainy, right? He's so bad, or his slanders are so bad, they're so malicious that he's famous for it. So he pleases men because it's funny, but angers them because
they're lies.
They're lies. They laugh at him and beat him. But this last line, woo.
Yeah. How does she shift to fleet and then he had boarded me?
I mean, fleet of dancers, right? I mean, it's her, she spins it into this metaphor, and then he had boarded me, which definitely, I mean, you have to tell me how you are going to read that, Beatrice.
I always hear it as more sexual, but
it has a sexual innuendo. Is that how she means it? Or she just mean like, so I could better him with my wit and show him I'm not studying my wit from the book of 100 Jests, whatever, 100 Merry Tales.
Like try to take my ship. Or if we go with, when we perform this, if we go with the idea that she has figured it out, that she figures out it's Benedict, when she says, well, this was Senior Benedict that said so. And what's he? It's just delightful because he's really opening it up for her to just, oh, here we go, and she goes in deep. And that could be another sort of twist. I'm going to make him uncomfortable by saying, oh God, I wish he'd just take me. And
see that lovely thing that I think sometimes happens when you want the sexual innuendo to be there in the word choice, but you're not going to play it. But you want that to also be something that the person is going to deliberate on later.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could also,
like we're doing now. Wait, what did she say?
And you could also overplay it too, because he still believes that she doesn't know. And she could be like just twisting him on a string, having a lot of fun. And I mean, we'll also read it the other way where she doesn't figure it out. I don't think that right. But okay. When I know the gentleman, I'll tell him what you say.
When I know the gentleman, I'll tell him what you say.
Do. He'll but break a comparison or two on me, which peradventure not marked or not laughed at strikes him into melancholy. And then there's a partridge wing saved, for the fool will eat no supper that night. We must follow the leaders.
In every good thing.
Nay, if they lead to any ill, I will leave them at the next turning.
So doo-doo.
Doo-doo.
He'll but break a comparison or two on me, which peradventure not marked. So breaking a comparison or two, in other words, he'll make a couple of deprecating remarks about me. Just be prepared. Which peradventure not marked or laughed at. If you don't laugh at his jokes, really bums him out. And so, but that's okay, because then there's more food for us to eat. He's so depressed that he doesn't want to eat. So music for the dance. We must follow the leaders in every good thing. The last line. Tell me what the last line means.
I'm always intrigued by this one.
I am, well, and I think it's because we see, I mean, Shakespeare's, okay, with here, I mean, literally it means, yeah, we follow them in a good thing. If they lead us to any ill thing, I will leave them at the next turning. And I love it that she says I and not we, and that she does this. She does this very thing when all the leaders do the ill thing, which is slander hero. She leaves them at that turn, right? Yeah,
it's accidental.
But I love it. It does say something about who she is as a person, even if it is sort of offhanded, right? I'll follow the leaders as long as they're leading me to good.
Is there any mileage in that line also being referential to him too? If they lead to any ill, I
mean, she's joking about dancing, right? We follow the leaders and dance.
Right.
Yeah.
And the man is the leader,
Right.
The woman is the follower.
Right.
But I love that she has to make it a disagreement, because it's not a clear, he doesn't say in everything. He already starts with in every good thing. And she's immediately like, no, if they're leading us to a bad thing, then I'll leave them behind.
Yeah.
So she actually has to make an argument out of a thing that's like, well, technically he was saying if they're leading us to a good thing.
No,
I just can picture her grabbing him by the hand and him wanting to just go away. She just grabs him, pulls him along. Okay,
another, I think, indication that she knows it's him. I feel like now, reading this now, I never before have been a little bit more sure that she knows it's him. That
she's saying you think she knows it's him.
Yeah.
More and more, I think that as like,
even just the need to qualify or disagree makes it likely, right?
Yeah. And I love that the insult of laying out his playbook. This is what he's going to do. He's just going to crack a couple of stupid jokes about me. And if it's not funny, oh no, she could just be. Because it's a lot of fun. I don't know if I'd say heavy-handed, but good. It has to be insulting enough for Benedict to be just in a snit. And he's like, kill me, do whatever, send me to the ends of earth. I just don't want to be near. She's insulted him pretty well.
I had a question which could sidetrack us, so we don't have to investigate it now. But I mean, Shakespeare so often pulls on existing stories for many, many, many of his plays.
Yeah.
Do we have a concept of where this one came from?
Yes. I actually emailed you guys just a little while ago. As a matter of fact, I'll just pretend like I just knew this. So he's almost always working from source material. You know that, right? So the hero Claudio plotline, that whole plotline has several literary sources. The Ariosto Furiosa is probably the most famous, which he used for a lot of things. And that would be, sort of recognizable. There was also a play that had the same sort of plot strand. So that would have been pretty recognizable. Benedict and Beatrice are all his own invention. I know, which I kind of love. And I told you that, the little fun fact about Charles I last week, but there is also, there's a lengthy history of people gravitating towards the Benedict Beatrice plotline more than the hero and Claudio. There are a lot of sources for hero and Claudio, and some are actually really, really dark.
Was this written during James or Elizabeth's time?
This is tail end of Elizabeth. So we think, it's hard to know. So 1598. So it's, it's sort of anticipating. We think, probably written a little before Twelfth Night. Twelfth Night's probably the next. but it's still considered kind of the tail end of those kind of jubilant Elizabethan comedies, although I always think like those jubilant Elizabethan comedies aren't always that jubilant, and this play certainly has that dark turn. I mean, it's such an unusual play for that. It's also, maybe not surprisingly, like it's written, close to the time that he writes Othello, which is, very strongly parallels this part, right? Assuming
you have Don John, the evil, unrepentant Don John.
Like you crank up Don John, and then you put a tragic hero who's also a soldier, by the way. Like I think, Shakespeare is really, I think, I speculate, but he comes back to this idea about, what happens to soldiers when they don't have a war, again, so there's a lot in this play that does actually resonate with Othello, obviously.
Well, and then,
and then story.
Taking Othello's intelligence and turning it into, he's a storyteller. He weaves these magical stories that are just, so he takes that the next step further, and instead of just shaming her in a church,
it makes her see her differently. Like the language of, again, there's a lot of language of seeing, marking in this play, also in Othello, right? How do you see her? How do you mark her? Somewhere.
It just fascinates me, the idea this part was the original, like Beatrice and Benedict, no one had done it. Do you know of any, I know we're getting sidetracked, any sort of subsequent, like other people borrowing that idea in their writing going forward?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd have to look to get the details because I don't know offhand, but there are people who adapted it later that just focused on Benedict and Beatrice, and I feel like they happened as early as the 1700s.
Oh, wow.
But I'd have to look it up. So I think there's some, and there's in Anne Barton's preface, which I like a lot, in the Riverside, she talks about sort of the I don't know what the sort of the theatrical inheritors of kind of Restoration comedy. There are a lot of sort of Benedict and Beatrice types, even so far as
Millamant and and Way of the World.
Yeah, and they speak, right, they speak this, again, sort of a heightened prose, like even, linguistically, they've sort of inherited something. And then there are other ones, but again, I have to look them up. But some people have sort of hijacked that part of the story and just told that part of the story and dropped Hero and Claudio. I think Berlioz wrote an opera called Beatrice and Benedict.
So there's just something about it that feels, and maybe it's just the amount of prose, but also that just feels so different. And I can't always put my finger on it because I'm like, there's other, there's sort of the group of plays that always focus on the nobility and all of them, and like that would be if we picked up Don Pedro's story and did something about him. But there are plenty of plays that don't do that, but they, they feel like in the Italian plays like Two Gentlemen of Verona or Romeo and Juliet, you've got like young people who are sort of figuring out how to be young and how to be in love, and then I don't know, there's something about this with these two experienced
more mature,
and the way the prose works that just feels like a totally different play from him.
And I think even if you look at that trajectory through like Two Gentlemen of Verona, Romeo and Juliet, right, there's also this, this theme repeatedly in comedies and romances where like men have to kind of let go of their friendship with a man and reach across to a woman. And so he's still kind of playing around with that idea. But yeah, I think we get a sense that Benedict and Beatrice have been around the block. They know a little bit more.
Well-established bachelors.
I know you of old.
Yeah, there you go.
I got this really weird idea that maybe Albie took from Beatrice and Benedict with Martha and George and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and maybe that's Benedict down the road.
And then when they're alcoholics.
Right. Drink too much.
It's fascinating because to me, it strikes me also as what strikes the chord in my heart is the loneliness that's covered with all the humor, and you can see everybody wanting them to finally just get a room. It's that thing you see all the time with friends. I mean, it's just it either happens or it doesn't, and I think that's sort of the aspect that also plucks at the heartstrings, and the unfortunateness of as you work on this role, it's that feeling of like, if Hero hadn't been slandered and the wedding had gone through, what would that scene have been between Beatrice and Benedict? Would it have happened? Well, it's So it'd be an interesting thing because the gulling still happened, but you know, what did they walk into that chapel? What were their expectations? And I think that's what I really play up directing it is like the wedding at the beginning. Everybody's, you know, I'm so excited, the expectations, and then Beatrice and Benedict, oh my God, oh my God. And then it all comes crashing down.
Can I say one more, just, I think what you said about what soldiers do when they're not at war, that strikes me because that is a big part of this play. It is Beatrice and Benedict, but it's also this war going on. And in the version with Danielle Brooks at, I think the Denver Theater in New York,
yeah,
and it's the BLM movement that starts afterwards. Like they have the end of the play and then you hear like this BLM movement and the riots break out.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't get to see that, but I'm sure it's online. What?
I said spoiler alert, but it is
Juls.
but it is like this active war maybe going on around them. And then this is just a period of time, a much ado about nothing time, where soldiers are not fighting and they're lovers. Or they're partiers, or they're drinkers, or they're eaters.
Yeah. Celebrating, recovering, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Do we know if there was a particular occasion that this play was written for?
I want to say no offhand, but I'll look.
An occasion like it celebrating a jubilee or something. It wasn't the jubilee.
I don't think so, but I can look.
That's interesting.
I think yeah. Occasionally there'll be like some event that inspired it.
Interesting. All right, let's jump to the church. Shannon, you get to be Beatrice. Juls?
For the funniest scene of them all.
Indeed. Well, you know what? That's the other thing you have to play with when you rehearse this. They aren't suddenly different people.
Do we want to do any of the party with the prince and the proposal?
No. I'd love to, but I think time. Because you know, when we do finally get to read all these things, we'll want a chance to maybe adjust and then read them again. So I know that was a tough one to pick between. But all right, let's give them Ben and B. Lady Beatrice, have you wept all this while?
Oh wait,
just finding the page in this version.
Everybody there?
It's a long scrolling journey.
Yes.
not sure.
I think there's a way to view this by act and scene, and I should have figured that out more.
Did you guys download it? Because I've got there is a little window up here where you can jump.
Look at that.
Is it Act 2, Scene 2?
Yeah, it's Act 5. Oh no, 4 1. Yeah.
Well, it's 412, line 255 in Arden, but I can find it in
and in Folger Online, it's 269.
Yeah. Oh, 269.
Excellent.
Not in the book, the online version.
No, not in the book. Here, it's on page 141 in the book.
Yeah, there we go. After the friar's very long monologue about here, guys, here's what we're gonna do.
It's like playing the like almost like the Prince and Romeo and Juliet. He comes in,
yeah,
as a monologue, or the friar himself who gets to do that monologue where he basically tells you what y'all just saw.
Don't get me started on friars. We don't have time for that.
Touched a nerve. Okay.
No,
all right.
Right.
So does everybody have it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hit it.
Lady Beatrice, have you wept all this while?
Yea, and I will weep a while longer.
I will not desire that.
You have no reason. I do it freely.
Surely I do believe your fair
Let's look at that line real quick. You have no reason, I do it freely. I mean, the general wash can be, you know, I'm doing this of my own. You have no reason. Is it you have no reason to be upset yourself, or do you have no reason as in the mind? What exactly does you have no reason?
It's a good question. I feel like there is a sense of Like you almost you could play it as like you don't have no ability, you have no logic to talk me out of it. I'm doing it whether you want it or not. Like there's no reasoning me out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You have
yes,
no reason. Oh, that's lovely, Shannon. That's
Yeah.
nice.
I do it freely. Okay. Sorry. Let's go ahead and start from the top since we're only 4 lines down.
Lady Beatrice, have you wept all this while?
Yea, and I will weep a while longer.
I will not desire that.
You have no reason, I do it freely.
Surely I do believe your fair cousin is wronged.
Ah, how much might the man deserve of me that would right her?
Is there any way to show such friendship?
A very even way, but no such friend.
May a man do it?
It is a man's office, but not yours.
I do love nothing in the world so well as you. Is not that strange?
As strange as the thing I know not. It were as possible for me to say I love nothing so well as you, but believe me not, and yet I lie not. I confess nothing, nor I deny nothing. I am sorry for my cousin.
Okay, hold on. I mean, right here, they are not different people because it gets sad. The language play
It's
is
still going on.
It's still who they are. And it's rereading this too. I'm like, at what point in all of this does Beatrice decide or know that the only way to avenge this is that Claudio needs to be killed?
I feel like it's pretty early, at least in that he needs to be challenged to a duel. I mean, I'm
It's
assuming
a more
what the
active choice when we get to kill Claudio for her to just come out of her mouth. But it's interesting. So a very even way, but no such friend. So she's working at it, what she wants, but she knows it's got to be a man. It's got to be something all along those lines and the rules and all this kind of crap. She can't just go knock on his door and, you know. So there's something going on in her brain as she's also processing him. This terrible sadness, you know, and I'm sure it's like the first time she's seen Leonardo behave that way. There's, you know, just a lot going on. And
I feel like the gender is a helpful step. Two things, right? May a man do it? It's a man's office. She knows that it's going to require a man to avenge her cousin, but also her response is unreasonable. It's out of like murdering him or shaming hero is not really appropriate response either. So I feel, you know, so I don't know, right? As actors, as you're figuring out how she gets from point A to point B, I think that's an interesting idea.
Well, because I think there is a big that the way it comes out in Kill Claudio is so from the gut, and the whole I would eat his heart in the marketplace. Right. But I think here there's very much a sense of like, this isn't a time where when someone shames your family, you go and you challenge them, right? Yeah. But it has to be a man who does it, and Leonardo's not going to do it. He's just shown that he's a wuss.
He's just
and she has
daughter
no
by believing.
Sworn, like Beatrice has no man sworn to her, so there is no man for her to say, go avenge my family, which would be
and I also love the idea that she would do it herself.
Yeah.
It's allowed. Let's keep reading. I do love nothing in the world so well as you. It's not I just love how that just comes out of nowhere. And I mean, not nowhere. I mean, we know they love, but right now she's been crying and it just sort of comes out of him. You know, it's like, I love you, you know. Like,
but I think it also is it is tied to the sense of like, it's a man's office, but I have no one to ask because no one is sworn to love me.
Don't get too far ahead.
I love you.
Yeah, don't get too far ahead because we're I know I just heard it myself that we're all jumping for it. Let's pass through the love and then down to the challenge. Because that could also be the click thing in her head. Oh my God, he does love me. He could be the guy to do it. Or not, thinking on the line, what is the thing that is processing and just coming out. So, and I love her equivocating about, I was gonna say it, but, maybe, but don't, so sorry about my belting.
Well, and I'm always intrigued by this, as strange as the thing I know not.
Yes, what is, he's not
Which I feel like on one reading is as strange as hearing that rumor that you loved me, which is something that I don't know. I don't know that thing.
That's great.
Right? So now you've declared it, and it's as weird now as it was when I heard it. That thing I don't know. Right?
As strange as the thing I know not. It could also be.
But it could also be
her.
I know I have not acknowledged, which is my feeling.
I'm not sure. I have not declared it out loud. So she's, continues if it were possible for me to say I loved nothing so well as you, but believe me not, yet I lie not, I confess nothing, nor I deny nothing. I am sorry for my cousin. It's God, I understand her discomfort. I really do. I'm gonna admit it too. So being single so long, but I was always a late bloomer in dating and that kind of a thing. I knew I liked a guy if on that first date where we were gonna kiss the first time, my jaw would chatter because the adrenaline would start. It looked like I was like really cold.
He'd go back to his friends. Her teeth were chattering. I don't know if that's a good sign.
It wasn't the whole date, Shannon. It was right at the end. But it is, I feel Beatrice so much of like, I know I can say, I feel it, I haven't said it yet. And I don't know if I say it, you could hurt me again. So I am sorry for my cousin. Let's get back to the pain. It's like,
yeah,
this is not the time. That's my excuse. So take it from, I am sorry for my cousin.
I am sorry for my cousin.
By my sword, Beatrice, thou lovest me.
Do not swear and eat it.
I will swear by it that you love me, and I will make him eat it that says I love you not.
Will you not eat your word? Will you not eat your word?
With no sauce that can be devised to it. I protest I love thee.
Why then, God forgive me.
What offense, sweet Beatrice?
You have stayed me in a happy hour. I was about to protest. I loved you.
And do it with all thy heart.
I love you with so much of my heart that none is left to protest.
Come, bid me do anything for thee.
Kill Claudia.
Not for the wide world.
You kill me to deny it. Farewell.
Okay. Stop. I just love how, I mean, it really is an audience member. Just like watching this upsetting thing, and then, oh my God, the two people you want to come together. Is now the time to talk about this? This is uncomfortable and funny and all this kind of stuff. Oh my God, this is great. Kill him. It's, and the fact that his first word is ha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like first thing to come out.
He has no actual word as a first response. He's like, oh, okay.
It's like a punch in the gut, Are you joking now? Are you doing
things?
And it's 2 words. Kill Claudio. And that just resonates. And it could be something with Benedict of like, aha, looking at her and like, no, for the wide world. I'm not going to do that. Don't be silly, kind of.
I also love, there's something about the messiness of this.
Yes.
That I'm like, she's kind of not on her game at the moment
Yeah.
at all, because when she comes back with the do not swear and eat it, right? She's responding to, by my sword, which is like, I'm gonna swear, Beatrice, thou lovest me. He's in some ways setting himself up to say, I'm swearing that you love me, and she's taking it as you're swearing that you love, you know what I mean? She's responding as if he said, by my sword, Beatrice, I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever thought about. It can also be I'm gonna deny it again. Do not swear and eat it. You just said that I love you. You can't swear on that because you don't know. I mean, there's always the color wash of that possibility. I mean, it's like, and I've said this before, but one of my old teachers, Richard Easton, used to say, when you rehearse, try everything, because the color of that choice will always be there, regardless of whether you end up doing that choice.
Mm,
So there's another dimension to it.
yeah.
And this scene goes by fast in the buildup. Clip, 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 clip. You've stayed me in a happy hour. That's the tricky one. You stayed me in a happy hour. Careful what you scan. Or how you say it. Call me butt love. You stayed me in a happy hour. I was about to protest that I loved you, and do it with all thy heart. I love you so much, my heart, that none is left to protest. I just love that. I promised myself if I ever got married, I'd somehow stick that in the ceremony. Not gonna happen. Okay. Come bid me do anything for thee.
Are there any interesting notes on happy hour?
In a happy hour.
I haven't found any. I mean, lucky moment is literally how it translates. Right, happy is usually fortunate, lucky. Stayed, kept me, stopped me here. Right, you stopped me somewhere good, happy, lucky, fortunate.
Which is, oh, sorry, keep going, Kat.
No, I do have I haven't thought about pronouns, but maybe this isn't the quite time for it, or
No, go ahead.
so you is actually formal and thee and thou is informal, and their tendency there's a lot of youing in this play. Her sonnet, when she says what fire is in mine eyes and she's talking about Benedict, she uses thee and thou. She uses the familiar. I think it's interesting in this scene that he's using the familiar and she's not. Just to put that out there.
Yeah. Takes more for her to admit it, which to me also plays into the evidence that he did something to hurt her
Yeah, I wonder.
in their initial relationship. Because in a way, it's a bigger risk for her because, once bitten, twice shy. No, that's not the right appropriate thing, but burned stove, whatever. Not a writer. And but still the humor there. You have stayed me in a happy hour. Is it the moment of her? I think I took that line for granted when I played her both times, that happy because he's pronounced his love. I'm getting there. Or is it her being ironic? Is she being, trying to be funny, having a happy time, We're here in the mess of the remains of a church, and we're doing this.
Right. And this was on the top of my mind. I was about to start talking about love with you. That was totally what I was getting to.
Right. That's right.
I mean, I sort of feel like I wonder if it's you, like, you stayed me in happy hour because I was about to protest I loved you, but you had to say it first. I wonder about that reading, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so glad you said it first, even though we're saying that
You made me happy. Yeah. Yeah.
I also wonder how open hour is as a time frame. Because yes, this hour of the wedding is terrible.
Yeah.
But if it has a little bit more of an open sense of like, I heard that news and this moment in my life I was gonna get around to telling you, or more open to telling you, or revisiting these feelings, and I was thinking about broaching this subject again.
Yeah, I always took hour to be like within, like if the wedding started at 2, if you were to think of the time, 2 o'clock, 2 to 3 is a good happy hour. You've stayed me in this happy time. I don't know. It's again, play with everything, even if
Yeah.
people are like rolling in their graves about, for breaking rules or whatever. And it's like, no.
No, there are new rules with time
I
in
wonder-
Shakespeare. They're really flexible. He's so flexible with time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
if there is a moment like Erika, you were saying, if what would have happened if this thing didn't happen with Hero and Claudio, if this was in fact the moment that Beatrice was going to confess her love to Benedict, and then all of this stuff went down,
Yeah.
and it was going to be a happy hour for her. On the other hand of all that, I mean, like, is the interpretation of hour loose, and it could just mean moment. And in this split moment, you have just told me you love me, and you have stayed me in this happy moment.
Yeah.
I was about to protest I love you, and just let it be even more confusing, and let it all just, I want to do this, I want to fall in this moment with you, but like I have some stuff going on.
Yeah. I got something to do. Yeah, it makes me think also of, and I think this is why I always sort of kind of struggled with the scene with the girls and the crying, the stuffy nose kind of thing. That's the morning of the wedding, right? So you have to ask yourself, why is she crying?
Right.
And what was her intent coming into the wedding with regards to Benedict? I mean, really, what is the crying about?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily joyful crying. I mean, because it's a sustained cry. It's one thing if you're so happy and you can't.
We know she's crying.
At the top, have you wept all this while?
No,
This part.
no. I was referring to the scene where Margaret sort of takes her to task.
Yeah.
She's definitely crying here. I feel like in the other
It's
earlier
that
scenes,
morning.
I have a cold. But you read that as crying?
I read that as she's been up all night crying.
Got it. Yeah.
Because I don't know why she would have a cold for one scene in the
Such a
morning.
weird thing. So we can make the maiden stuff joke or whatever that, like there's a sexual joke. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you can also feel pretty under the weather if you've just been up all night, too.
It's true. Yeah, no, but it is to build, back to the whole rehearsing and playing.
yeah.
I think that's a scene that doesn't get a lot of attention. Because it is about the women. It is Margaret stepping in her stead to do, to take her to task. And she's not willing to play. She doesn't want to play.
Yeah.
So to me, that also is another indicator that she's in a weird mood about all this.
Yeah.
So, and I guess we'd have to go back and look at the timeline. Was the gulling scene the day before?
Probably.
Days.
I mean, we
never, again, we don't, like, so few plays we can actually chart out in sort of time. Romeo and Juliet, Winter's Tale, Tempest, right? I think that's it.
So,
Hamlet
that's so lovely for her to carry that all the way through, though. You're right. You're absolutely right. And then to carry it into this scene because of the history that you've mentioned and the choice that we talked about in episode 1. Does she, who broke up with whom? And, how has that affected them? How has that affected her? And if she does find out that he loves her, does she want to get back together with him? Does she love him? I mean, like, that would keep me up. I mean, is that like, do I want to go through that pain again?
How much of what just happened also as Claudio declaring and everybody believes it and Hero ashamed, is that also like for her, like, oh my God, this is why I don't date, that sort of thing is I don't know. It's so funny because to me, it's like when my floodgates are open, even if I've managed to clean off and do great and I'm fine, if something triggers it, the floodgates can come back again. And, you know, when they turn into rage tears, if they ever do, but let's keep going forward so we can get into this point. This is the other danger of the idea of crying. The other danger, as if I've spoken of this before. The most moving way to really hit an audience is to fight the tears. So it's like I had a teacher who once said, she says, what's more interesting, watching an open pot of water boil, or if you put the lid on top and you watch the lid kind of dance, trying to stay on top of the boiling water. It's far more interesting to watch with the lid. And we don't like to cry. Human beings don't like to, how many times, or at least it was American human beings, do you watch an interview and if somebody breaks, they apologize?
Especially women.
Especially women. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I kind of actually love her response at the top of this scene when he's like, have you wept all this while? And it's that thing of like, yes, and nothing you're gonna say. I'm shutting you down immediately. Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. You know?
Well, and if we start the scene with sort of the awkward moment of them being there, and that's his opener. Have you been crying the whole time? You know, like, and she can be like, yeah, and I'm gonna keep crying. Were you not here? You know, it's like we could start the scene on any level or tone.
Well, and also in the top, I feel like you get to decide, because she says, I was about to protest, I love you. Is that at the top of this scene? When she says, how much might the man deserve of me who would write her? Is it going to be you? Is she ready? Is she about to put that challenge out there and go, no, it's probably a bad idea. It's a very even way, but you know, it's not you. Yeah, it's a man's job, but
because I
can't ask.
In the end, she's the one who kind of resists it a little bit more than he does. And then they present the letters. And there is no refuting the letters. That's evidence for everybody. So, I mean, which makes sense. She's the one who was wounded. So, all right, let's pick this up and keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
By my sword, Beatrice, thou lovest me.
Okay, we're going back. Cool.
Which is 288.
Okay. By my sword, Beatrice, thou lovest me.
Do not swear and eat it.
I will swear by it that you love me, and I will make him eat it that says, I love you, not you.
Will you not eat your word?
With no sauce that can be devised to it. I protest I love thee.
Why then, God forgive me.
What offense, sweet Beatrice?
You have stayed me in a happy hour. I was about to protest I loved you.
And do it with all thy heart.
I love you with so much of my heart that none is left to protest.
Come, bid me do anything for thee.
Kill Claudia.
Not for the wide world.
You kill me to deny it. Farewell.
Tarry, sweet Beatrice.
I am gone, though I am here. There is no love in you. Nay, I pray you, let me go.
Beatrice.
In faith, I will go.
We'll be friends first.
You dare easier be friends with me than fight with mine enemy.
Is Claudio thine enemy?
Is he not approved in the height of villain that hath slandered, scorned, dishonored my kinswoman? Oh, that I were a man! What? Bear her in hand until they come to take hands, and then, with public accusation, uncovered slander, unmitigated rancor. Oh, God, that I were a man! I would eat his heart in the marketplace.
Hear me, Beatrice.
Talk with a man out at a window. A proper saying.
Nay, but Beatrice.
Sweet hero, she is wronged, she is slandered, she is undone. Princes and counties, surely a princely testimony, a goodly count, comfect, a sweet gallant, surely. Oh, that I were a man for his sake, or that I had any friend would be a man for my sake. but manhood is melted into curtsies, valor into compliment, and men are only turned into tongue, and trim ones too. He is now as valiant as Hercules that only tells a lie and swears it. I cannot be a man with wishing, therefore I will die a woman with grieving.
Tarry, good Beatrice. By this hand I love thee.
Use it for my love some other way than swearing by it.
Think you in your soul the Count Claudio hath wronged Hero?
Yea, as sure as I have a thought or a soul.
Enough. I am engaged. I will challenge him. I will kiss your hand, and so I leave you. By this hand, Claudio shall render me a dear account. As you hear of me, so think of me. Go comfort your cousin. I must say she is dead, and so farewell.
I also love the for Benedict, if we were working with Benedict, there's part of me that's like, oh, I should have grown up Benedict. The difficulty when he just brings it down and says, do you know this?
Mm-hmm.
And then he makes that, I mean, to me, this is almost a bigger declaration of love.
Yeah.
I will do this for you. I will kill one of my best buddies for
Or
you.
die
Your
in
word.
the attempt.
Or die in the attempt. I will put my life on the line.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I definitely think there's something in that line of his, as you hear of me, so think of me, as in like, you may hear the results of this duel, and I might not be around.
Wish me luck. I also love that there's no big kiss in the scene. Sustain that tantric. Anyway, so tarry, sweet Beatrice, I am gone, though I am here. There is no love in you, nay, I pray you let me go. That could either be that he's, touched her, but I don't think so. I think it's him blocking the way. Beatrice, in faith I will go. And his whole stab at, we'll be friends first. You can just hear the breaks. Come on, friends, and then it's interesting, is Claudio thine enemy? And as I was rereading this, the slip is to list it off in a way that's like, I got his here are the receipts and that.
All of these are like coming to her, like all the ideas.
It's on the line, and for her, it builds of a like, hang on. So this is what I witnessed. So he stood here, and then he did that. Oh my God! And he said that, and he said, and then now this is the result of what. Oh, and let that get her going. So there's also a difference in she's not just screaming at him. So let's look at his, he not approved the height of villain that hath slandered, scorned, dishonored my kinswoman. Oh, that I were a man. And here's my feeling about O's. To me, it's a marker of a sound. In that, it could be an oh that I were a man, or a, oh, that play around with that. If we were in the verse, there is a way to do it to keep the meter going. But to me, it's such an opportunity to have an exclamation, however it comes out. And the idea, this is kind of a tricky thing that also I think we jump to. My brain has already gone to a place of, see, if I were a man, I could do it myself. It's that idea of what is the more active thing, like, oh, if I were a man, that it's not to give line ratings, but that's my director limit. that to play with it in every way, instead of it all just being boom, 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 even though that is valid. And that is the engine that's building, because we build to eating his heart in the marketplace, what bear her in hand, till they take hands, and then public accusation, uncovered slander, unmitigated rancor. And play with the idea of like that, oh God, is like, holy cats, that did just happen, and oh my God. That's one way to play to it. Or it could be an oh yeah. Because she's swearing an oath in a church too.
Yeah.
That I were a man, I would eat his heart in a marketplace. Is there any play on eat with this other than the literal image of her reaching into his heart and taking a bite? Or
so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that's it. And I think that, again, we're in both, like, we see this impulse again where she's pushing away from empty words right into action. So you're just going to tell me, you easier be friends with me than fight my enemy. You can tell me I'm your friend, but unless you fight my enemy, you're not. And the idea that men's words can do so much damage, I think that idea of public is huge, right? Public accusation, because it would ruin her. I mean, the whole thing with the friar, right, is you'll either reinstate her reputation or she can become a nun.
right.
So she'll either be marriageable,
as a guy said,
convent, it's
yeah.
So I think again, that idea that, and then it really with all the really sarcastic things she says afterwards, right, that they're play acting some misguided notion of male honor, but it's a woman who pays for it, right? But yeah, I think she literally means I would, again, eat his heart. I would do this thing in this public place to
and also the marriage marketplace too. I feel like this whole play has been building up to this for Beatrice, the relationship with Benedict, and then her cousin and her, saying, if a man had a beard, I am not for him. And this whole thing has been building up to this moment. And this kind of idea maybe that we are only for marriage has maybe delivered her to this moment of, I am going to eat a heart of a man in a marketplace where women are only seen as props to be sold off to men or like business transactions kind of thing. So I
think the way we're more, and I think the way we get perhaps more indignant and more fired up when we see the injustice done to somebody else, right? Hero who's done nothing wrong, who's, completely behaves appropriately and does everything she's told and is all excited. Everybody's excited about this marriage, and then this thing happens.
Yeah, it's like, if you're going to choose anyone, how could you even believe this of this person?
Right, indignation.
Well, and also the idea of eat his heart in the marketplace starts with the list of, he waits until the day of the wedding to take her hand in the church. You want to do this publicly? You want public? Marketplace, me having a meal on your heart. It's also that sort of idea of,
and you work up from like the public accusation, how terrible that is with this slander, to the unmitigated rancor, like that he just the anger on his part towards her through this process. I mean, if you're going to slander someone, you don't need to attack her the way you did,
Why didn't he go right to her that night?
So bad.
So knock on her door, go after the guy. Instead, no, we'll have our vengeance and revenge, and and does it in front of, I would assume the townspeople are probably all there too. This is everybody.
And repeatedly calls her a slut, basically. Like, all those words are just, it's
terrible. It's terrible what he does. I mean, yeah. Okay, so and I love this. I would direct it so that Benedict is just trying to get a word in there, and Beatrice just keeps plowing.
Yeah.
I would eat his heart in the marketplace, maybe a beat there, and it gets quicker and quicker for her. So definitely she is slandered, she is undone, princes and counties. She's not even like listening to him. She's, princes and counties. But I also love the idea of playing around with somebody once, a director in was doing a one-woman show. And one of the best things he ever taught me to do, he said, I want you to cast the play. I said, what? And he said, every person you talk about or quote in the play,
Right.
cast the play. And guess what? If they don't work, fire them and find another actor. And so I was incredibly specific. There were like 20 different characters in it. So like Talk with a Man Out of a Window could be that dark humor place of like, talk with a man out of a window. You know, you could play around with mocking Claudia. Oh no, you know, it just a proper saying, they have a very sweet hero. She is wrong, she's slandered, she's undone. Princes and
What
Count-
is that? Do you have a take on what a proper saying is? Is she referencing the fact that that is a proper way to say there might have been something more going on at that window that they wanted to say? Like,
Arden has it as a likely story, which is how I hear it.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, because that's how it feels, is like, oh, sure.
Proper. Yeah. Any idiot that,
Sure.
right. Like that's likely.
Yeah.
Sure. You're talking with man outside a window, right? That.
Yeah. Great. Claudia.
I know we're not doing Benedict, but I also love it that he ends with a formal pronoun, right? Like he's sort of gotten a tone shift and it feels like this is something serious. I sort of like that at the end, but
Yeah.
just to throw that in for fun. I like
No, I
that.
think you're right. I think you're right. The Princes
This
and
is a
Count-
different compact than he was expecting.
Right.
Princes and Counties, so Princes and Counts.
Really different. Yeah.
And then she starts playing princely testimony, goodly count. Goodly count. Count.
I wonder if she's going for their titles too. Like these are men of rank and status. Is this honorable, this nasty thing that they've done? You know, that they've abused their positions, right?
Yeah, I mean, what an insult. It's sort of why
Yeah.
some people choose not to call somebody as president, being former. You know, it's like, nope, you don't get that title in my universe. You know, and even more so here, the status. She's making fun of their status. Count Comfect, a sweet gallant, surely. Oh, that I were. Is there anything in Sweet Gallant beyond her making a pun off of Count Comfect?
Yeah, just they don't have anything substantial about them, or he doesn't have anything substantial. Right? They're like noblemen made out of sugar.
Yeah, a little bit of water.
And they melt.
And then of course you open it up into manhood in general, which
yeah,
you can include Benedict more or less in this sense of like, okay, manhood is melted. And when we get to the only tells a lie and swears it, it could be Claudio and the prince tell a lie and swear it, or you tell a lie, you say, bid me do anything.
Yeah, all men, right? All men do this.
So okay, let's make sure or that I had a friend would be a man for my sake. Boom, right to him. You know, you would be my guy, but manhood is melted into curtsies, valor into compliment, and men are only turned into tongue and trim ones too, fancy tongues. That's about it with their substance. And I always loved this one. He gets all this shit because he tells a lie and everybody says, oh, that must be true.
Right.
You know, he is now as valiant as Hercules, that only tells a lie, so I cannot be a man with wishing. Therefore, I will die a woman with grieving. I also picture the idea of like she spends herself out. Like these monologues are so emotionally that she's literally has to sit down. What do you do? What can I do now? I don't. I was going to say another political thing, and I should. Tarry, good Beatrice, by this hand I love thee. Use it for my love some other way than swearing by it. So straightforward. think you in your soul that Count Claudio hath wronged hero, the Count Claudio, not Claudio, the Count Claudio.
right.
Wronged hero, which is what you were referring to too.
Reminding her. That's really interesting.
What?
Reminding her that it is Count Claudio, and you know what you're asking of me. Almost like
He's
I'm gonna do this thing. It's Count Claudio.
Yeah. This
Claudio.
charge that we're about to read into the record.
Yeah.
Account.
Hmm.
Yeah, as sure as I have a thought or a soul. Enough, I am engaged. I will challenge him. And also very formal, I will kiss your hand. And so I leave you. And by this hand, Claudio shall render me a dear account. As you hear of me, so think of me. Go comfort your cousin. I must say she is dead, and so farewell. I also love that, in that I'm in on this. I must say she is dead. So, God, just love this play. So, where are we with the time?
I remember interesting doing it because we get the Terry good Beatrice by this hand I love thee. So the implication being she's again going to leave. She's like, okay, I said my piece. I'm gonna go. I'm a woman, so I'm grieving. Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my tissues and go back to my room. You know, crack open that tequila bottle I've hid. You know,
It's an interesting character shift for Benedict too, just for a second, because now he's like, I want to show you how seriously I'm taking this. This is how much I love you.
Yeah.
It is all formal now. And it's
because we talk about him as a clown. I think if I spoke to the actor playing Benedict, I really want to sort of talk about what is his status in the war as a soldier? Is he good soldier? Is he just good company? Is he you know what I mean? If this is, I mean, we know that this is a big deal because he's going to go challenge his friend. But is this something he's had to do before? Is this, it doesn't strike me as he's the kind of guy who would take things like he talk everybody down from the shelf, don't be weird, you know. But yeah, I mean, we have to remember, in fact, this would be a great moment at the end that he is in fact a soldier.
Yeah.
That if he suddenly was in, you know, his full proper posture and, you know, sword by his side or whatever, you know. Yeah. All right. Let's go back to the beginning. Now that we're all like into the last end of the play. But let's start acting, shall we? Doing some more acting. We're gonna go to the beginning when I pray you is Senior Mandant to return from the wars and no. Top.
You haven't gotten to do this one, Jules, at the top with the messenger.
I don't think so.
Have you?
Okay, you're Beatrice.
Okay.
The rest of us. So Shannon, you be the messenger since there's more play. And I'll just slip in a Leonardo and a hero every once in a while, unless you want to act, Kat.
Oh no, I have way too much respect for actors to try to act. So
That's very nice.
no, I just like being the nerdy, sometimes helpful person.
I love your geekiness, your Shakespeare geekydom.
Well, love these characters.
I
And
do
so much respect for actors.
miss visiting the final scene though, where they're reading, where they've got their Benedict's writing his verses.
See, now you knew my problem as director. Which freaking scene do I pick? That's we should just have a reading of Much Ado. Nate,
Okay, I'm gonna do it.
So yeah, no, it's like picking like the candy, just so yeah, this is the part of being a director I'm learning I don't like. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's give it a So I'm going to give you Leonato's line as a cue.
Okay.
And she's stepping forward. So I want you to just be, hi.
Mhm.
So let's try it. So a kind overflow of kindness. There are no faces truer than those that are so washed. How much better is it to weep at joy than to weep at weeping?
I pray you, is Senior Montanto returned from the wars again, or no?
I know none of that name, lady. There was none such in the army of any sort.
What is he that you ask for, niece? My cousin means Signor Benedict of Padua.
Ah, he's returned, and as pleasant as ever he was.
He set up his bills here in Messina and challenged Cupid at the flight, and my uncle's fool, reading the challenge, subscribed for Cupid and challenged him at the bird bolt. I pray you, how many hath he killed and eaten in these wars? But how many hath he killed? For indeed I promised to eat all of his killing.
Faith, niece, you tax Signor Benedict too much, but he'll be meet with you, I doubt it not.
He hath done good service, lady, in these wars.
You had musty victual, and he hath holp to eat it. He is a very valiant trencherman. He hath an excellent stomach.
And a good soldier too, lady.
I want to stop at this one too. Great job. So here we also get into the eating.
Yeah.
Lots of eating. Feel a little more like pumped and on it and ready to go, Beatrice, just because you are you primed?
Okay.
Maybe you're a little nervous too. So it's all need to return as pleasant ever. You set up bills here in Messina and you challenge Cupid to fly. And my uncle's fool reading the challenge described for Cupid and challenged him at the bird. Let's refresh ourselves on what that means. The first line of that paragraph. He set up his bills here in Messina and challenged Cupid at the flight. And my uncle's fool, reading the challenge, subscribed for Cupid and challenged him at the bird bolt. So remembering what we were talking about before, that he set up his bills here in Messina. So we talked about him posting his, I'm the guy. And challenged Cupid at this fight. Like, go ahead, try and make me fall in love. And my uncle's fool, reading the challenge, subscribed for Cupid. So I can't remember who's uncle's fool. Did we decide what my uncle's say again?
I mean, it's either literally like the jester of the house or the entertainer of the house, but we talked about how some people read it as potentially Beatrice referring to herself as her uncle's fool.
Right. Okay.
So fight on the Cupid side, right? And then challenge bird bolt. So either that's all that they were capable of, or okay.
Gotta be her. Yeah. So my uncle's fool, reading the challenge, subscribed for Cupid and challenged him at the bird bolt. So keep that in mind a little bit more closer. Juls, when you're doing it, we're not dark yet, but it's like that thing that you just can't help yourself but say, yeah. So let's take it from you jumping in. So I'll just give you how much better is it to weep at joy than to joy at weeping. Okay, ready?
Sorry.
Back to where we started.
Got
it. Okay. How much better is it to weep at joy than to joy at weeping?
I pray you, is Senior Montanto returned from the wars or no?
I know none of that name, lady. There was none such in the army of any sort.
What is he you ask for, niece? My cousin means Signor Benedict of Padua.
Oh, he's returned, and as pleasant as ever he was.
He set up his bills here in Messina and challenged Cupid at the flight. And my uncle's fool, reading the challenge, subscribed for Cupid and challenged him at the bird bolt. I pray you, how many hath he killed and eaten in these wars? But how many hath he killed? For indeed, I promise to eat all of his killing.
Faith, niece, you tax Signor Benedict too much, but he'll be meet with you, I doubt it not.
He hath done good service, lady, in these wars.
You had musty victual, and he hath hoped to eat it. He is a very valiant trencherman. He hath an excellent stomach.
And a good soldier too, lady.
And a good soldier too, lady. But what is he to a lord?
A lord to a lord, a man to a man, stuffed with all honorable
I'm
virtue.
gonna back you up. He hath done good service, lady, in these wars. Now, and a good soldier too, lady. And then you really gotta hit it with, and a good soldier to a lady.
Oh, to a lady.
That's what she's spinning on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he hath done good service, lady, in these wars.
He hath done good service, lady, in these wars.
You had musty
Had
victual.
musty victual. You had musty victual, and he hath hoped to eat it. He is a very valiant trencherman. He hath an excellent stomach.
And a good soldier too, lady.
And a good soldier to a lady, but what is he to a lord?
A lord to a lord, a man to a man, stuffed with all honorable virtues.
It is so indeed. He is no less than a stuffed man, but for the stuffing, well, we are all mortal.
You must not, sir, mistake my niece. There is a kind of merry war betwixt Signor Benedict and her. They never meet, but there's a skirmish of wit between them.
Alas, he gets nothing by that. And our last conflict, 4 of his 5 wits went halting off, and now is the whole man governed with 1. So that if he have wit enough to keep himself warm, let him bear it for a difference between himself and his horse, for it is all the wealth that he hath left to be known a reasonable creature. Who is his companion now? He hath every month a new sworn brother.
Yeah, let's stop. Let's stop, because that's a tough one. It's a alas, he gets nothing by that. In our last conflict, long sentence, and
yes.
She is prime in that thing. So it's less about like, I'm going to take a deep breath,
right,
and plow through that kind of thing. Instead, it is, again, like that, pulling the period towards you. She's having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's driving. That messenger couldn't get a word in edgewise if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So she's, I won't say showing off. She's just doing what she does really, really well.
Yeah.
So, and also since Leonardo's like, they go at each other, it's, don't worry about it, guy. There
was an interesting thing that happened. I don't know if it was just me, but like there was a kind of an annoyance that I had towards Leonardo at that point. Or it's like, oh yeah, this is just what they do. I'm like, no, we had a thing. There was history there. No, this is justified. Okay, but you're gonna, great.
Yeah.
You're
so I'm gonna do like giving a really good dump on Benedict.
Yeah.
It's like, that's her skill set. And in a way, it's really hitting me that she is the fool.
Yeah.
Leonardo's court. Because she gets away with some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, stepping up and just interrupting after the messenger does this, and she's like, excuse me, just wondering. That kind of playfulness. And of course, Leonardo being a little bit clueless, like, what's going on? And Hero being, Dad, it's just Benedict again. Oh, So let's well, we are all mortal. Yeah, let's play that. So it is so indeed, he is no less than a stuffed man, but for the stuffing, well, we are all mortal. And then Leonardo does that thing that funny people find annoying, is he sort of undercuts the laugh.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, yes, use that irritation to get him back and use it to drive through that next speech. Okay. So take it from, it is so indeed, he is no less than a,
It is so indeed. He is no less than a stuffed man he is no less,
yeah, take your time.
It is so indeed. He is no less than a stuffed man, but for the stuffing. Well, we are all mortal.
You must not, sir, mistake my niece. There's a kind of merry war betwixt Signor Benedict and her. They never meet, but there's a skirmish of wit between them.
Alas, he gets nothing by that. In our last conflict, 4 of his 5 wits went halting off, and now is the whole man governed with 1. So that if he have wit enough to keep himself warm, let him bear it for a difference between himself and his horse. For it is all the wealth that he hath left to be known a reasonable creature. Who's his companion now? He hath every month a new sworn brother.
Is it possible?
Very easily possible. He wears his faith, but as the fashion of his hat. It ever changes with the next block.
I see, lady. The gentleman is not in your books.
No. And he were, I would burn my study. But I pray you, who is his companion? Is there no young squire now that will make a voyage with him to the devil?
He is most in the company of the right noble Claudia.
Oh, Lord, he will hang upon him like a disease. He is sooner caught than the pestilence, and the taker runs presently mad. God help the noble Claudio. If he have caught the Benedict, it will cost him £1,000 ere he be cured.
I will hold friends with you, lady.
Do, good friend.
You will never run mad, niece.
Nope, not till a hot January.
Don Pedro is approached.
Nice. Nice. Let's immediately go back to the top of the scene and take that energy that you found, Jules, and let's load it at the top. See what happens. Papa, really nice work. So I'll give you Leonardo's how much better is it? Ready?
Yes.
How much better is it to weep at joy than to joy at weeping?
I pray you, is Signor Montanto returned from the wars or no?
I know none of that name, lady. There was none such in the army of any sort.
What is he that you ask for, niece? My cousin means Signor Benedict of Padua.
Oh, he's returned, and as pleasant as ever he was.
He set up his bills here in Messina and challenged Cupid at the flight. And my uncle's fool, reading the challenge, subscribed for Cupid and challenged him at the bird bolt. I pray you, how many hath he killed and eaten in these wars? But how many hath he killed? For indeed I promise to eat all of his killing.
Faith, niece, you tax Signor Benedict too much, but he'll be meet with you, I doubt it not.
He hath done good service, lady, in these wars.
You had musty victual, and he hath hope to eat it. He is a very valiant trencherman. He hath an excellent stomach.
And a good soul.
Nope, oh, please.
And a good soldier to a lady, but what is he to a lord?
A lord to a lord, a man to a man, stuffed with all honorable virtues.
It is so indeed. He is no less than a stuffed man, but for the stuffing. Well, we are all mortal.
You must not, sir, mistake my niece. There is a kind of merry war betwixt Signor Benedict and her. They never meet, but there's a skirmish of wit between them.
Alas, he gets nothing by that. In our last conflict, 4 of his 5 wits went halting off, and now he is the whole man, but man governed with 1.
Start
so
that
that
again.
if he have,
Start that speech again. Go ahead.
Alas, he gets nothing by that. In our last conflict, 4 of his 5 wits went halting off, and now is the whole man's governed with 1. so that if he have wit enough to keep himself warm, let him bear it for a difference between himself and his horse, for it is all the wealth that he hath left to be known a reasonable creature. Who is his companion now? He hath every month a new sworn brother.
Is it possible?
Very easily possible. He wears his faith, but as the fashion of his hat, it ever changes with the next block.
I see, lady. The gentleman is not in your books.
No, and he were, I would burn my study. But I pray you, who is his companion? Is there no young squire now that will make a voyage with him to the devil?
He is most in the company of the right noble Claudio.
Oh, Lord, he will hang upon him like a disease. He is sooner caught than the pestilence, and the taker runs presently mad. God help the noble Claudio. If he have caught the Benedict, it will cost him £1,000 ere he be cured.
I will hold friends with you, lady.
Do, good friend.
You will never run mad, niece.
Nope, not till a hot January.
Don Pedro has approached.
So just a couple of things. And I lift companion instead of now. A little bit more, who is his companion? It's the first time you're bringing up,
Yeah,
who's he brought into the posse, and lifting the two of, and a good soldier to and a good soldier too, lady, and a good soldier to a lady. I mean, it's almost Marx Brothers,
Yes,
good
yes.
soldier to a lady, Yeah, and I mean, it's so easy for her, and it goes older to a lady, but what is he to a lord? It's her quickness is just so fantastic, and then she moves it along. I just finished this one now. Tell me about this guy. That it's the following through with I hate to say lift the end of the line, but it is just a soft sort of knowing how to create a continuance with your melody and the energy playing that period to the conclusion of the end, let's go further into a little bit, few outlines later. I wonder that you would still be talking, Signor Benedict. Shannon,
Can I ask a question about that last bit before I move on? I
Yeah.
just have a question because I think it's sort of interesting to me. We know Claudio's been in town before, and I think it's interesting. The messenger says he's in the company of the right noble Claudio, and then Beatrice, seems to be like, oh, he's totally the guy, right? Like I could see it, and expresses some sympathy, of course, because it's really at Benedict's expense, right? God help the noble Claudio. But part of me wonders, is she just echoing the messenger, noble Claudio, noble Claudio, or does she actually think he is noble? Like, does she kind of like this guy? I think I'd be curious as the actor, right? Are you see Beatrice is just bouncing it back, or does she actually think Claudio's a pretty good guy?
I mean, I did enjoy the choice in Branno's one where it's clear that Hero already kind of has eyes for Claudio because he's been to the town before. And he talks about having seen her then, but with the eyes of a soldier. So they're not meeting for the first time at the top of this play, but he's looking now for a wife in a way that he was not before. And so what I enjoy about this opening in that film is like already Beatrice is kind of like, oh, your Claudio's coming back. Ooh, oh, thick man.
I mean, how things change you. He's probably back and he's a little more mature. We find out later, maybe not so mature, not experienced. And she's probably blossomed a bit since the last time he saw her as well. Maybe she's looking a little more womanly in his eyes. And so yes.
Curious what that means for Beatrice, right? Like, what does that mean for Pure? If she's excited about this marriage and she liked that guy, and right, doesn't that, or again, maybe it's just seasonable slate, but
oh, good, he's coming. Ooh, but it also can play with the warning of it, like, oh, let's not have Benedict influence Claudio. That poor little puppy. So let's do the wee bit of Benedict and Beatrice at the end of this. Shannon, you become Benedict.
Mhm. If seniorly not be your father.
Yes. Are you there, Jules?
Yes.
Okay.
If Senior Leonardo be her father, she would not have his head on her shoulders for all Messina, as like him as she is.
I wonder that you will still be talking, Senior Benedict. Nobody marks you.
What, my dear Lady Disdain? Are you yet living?
Is it possible Disdain should die while she hath such meat food to feed it as Senior Benedict? Courtesy itself must convert to disdain if you come in her presence.
Then is courtesy a turncoat? But it is certain I am loved of all ladies, only you excepted. And I would I could find it in my heart that I had not a hard heart, for truly I love none.
A dear happiness to a woman. They would else have been troubled with a pernicious suitor. I thank God and my cold blood I am of your humor for that. I had rather hear my dog bark at a crow than a man swear he loves me.
God keep your ladyship still in that mind, so some gentleman or other shall escape a predestinate scratched face.
Scratching could not make it worse, and 'twere such a face as yours were.
You are a rare parrot, teacher.
A bird of my tongue is better than a beast of yours.
I would my horse had the speed of your tongue, and so good a continuer. But keep your way, God's name I have done.
You always end with a jade's trick. I know you of old.
It's interesting in this exchange that it strikes me when she says, or when he says, I love this whole, well, I'm with you on that one. I thank God in my cold blood I am of your humor for that. I'd rather hear my dog bark at a crow. Yeah. But his line about because that comes after, but it is certain I am loved of all ladies, only you accepted. That he's mentioning the thing. On some level, he's referring to the thing. Well, fucker. It's just it's an interesting moment that he how Beatrice would hear that, except for you. Of course, we know you, and I could find in my heart that I had not a hard heart, for truly I love none. It's another one of those things too, when you're harboring a crush on somebody and I don't know what's worse, to find out that they're with someone else or if they're just done. I had a crush on somebody who was just done because he'd been hurt by his ex-wife so badly. And he's like, nope, not gonna do it. I'm like, so there is sort of, and you kind of see it in David Tennant and I can't think of her name, Catherine Haight. Thank you. You kind of see it where they sort of like, yeah, hey, and they even clink things. It would be fun to play around with that. I'm not sure what I think about that choice, but like, does it water down the, yeah, now how are you? You're good? Yeah, that's great. The idea, but it's still, we're being playful at this point until it's like, oh, no different than the last time, it's like, now to give Shannon a chance, let's go to the dance. Let's go to 2-1. Top of that.
Fancy time.
Top of the act for you.
Partly.
Yeah, and then Jules, you can be Leonardo.
Okay.
I'll pick up Hero and Antonio.
Was not Count John here at supper?
I saw him not.
Heartly that gentleman looks. Never can see him, but I am heartburned an hour after.
He is of a very melancholy disposition.
He were an excellent man that were made just in the midway between him and Benedict. The one is too like an image and says nothing. And the other too like my lady's eldest son, ever more tattling.
Then half Senior Benedict's tongue in Count John's mouth, and half Count John's melancholy in Senior Benedict's face.
With a good leg and a good foot, uncle, and money enough in his purse, such a man would win any woman in the world, if he could get her goodwill.
By my troth, niece, thou wilt never get thee a husband, if thou be so shrewd of thy tongue.
In faith, she's too cursed.
Too cursed is more than cursed. I shall lessen God's ending that way. For it is said God sends a cursed cow short horns, but to a cow too cursed, he sends none.
So by being too cursed, God will send you no horns.
Just, if he send me no husband, for the which blessing I am at him upon my knees every morning and evening. Lord, I could not endure a husband with a beard on his face. I had rather lie in the woolen.
You may light on a husband that hath no beard.
What should I do with him? Dress him in my apparel and make him my waiting gentlewoman? He that hath a beard is more than a youth, and he that hath no beard is less than a man. And he that is more than a youth is not for me, and he that is less than a man, I am not for him. Therefore, I will even take 6 in earnest the bear herd and lead his apes into hell.
Well then, go you into hell. Well then go you
No, but to the gate. And there will the devil meet me like an old cuckold with horns on his head and say, get you to heaven, Beatrice, get you to heaven. Here's no place for you maids. So deliver I up my apes and away to St. Peter. For the heavens, he shows me where the bachelors sit, and there live we as merry as the day is long.
Well, niece, I trust you will be ruled by your father.
Yes, faith, it is my niece's duty to make curtsy and say, Father, as it please you. But yet for all that, cousin, let him be a handsome fellow, or else make another curtsy and say, Father, as it please me.
Well, niece, I hope to see you one day fitted with a husband.
Not till God make men of some other metal than earth. Would it not grieve a woman to be overmastered with a piece of valiant dust? To make an account of her life to a clod of wayward moral? No, uncle, I'll none. Adam's sons are my brethren, and truly I hold it a sin to match in my kindred.
Daughter, remember what I told you. If the prince do solicit you in that kind, you know your answer.
The fault will be in the music, cousin, if you be not wooed in good time. If the prince be too important, tell him there is a measure in everything, and so dance out the answer. For hear me, hero, wooing, wedding, and repenting is a Scotch jig, a measure, and a syncopace. The first suit is hot and hasty like a Scotch jig, and full as fantastical. The wedding, mannerly, modest as a measure, full of state and ancientry. And then comes repentance, and with his bad legs falls into the syncopace faster and faster until he sinks into his grave.
Cousin, you apprehend passing shrewdly.
Have a good eye, uncle. I can see a church by daylight.
The revelers are entering, brother. Make good room.
Oh, great. Great work. A couple of things. So I noticed, so it'll be rhythm, like with Beatrice. There's like, where is the one that I was? Yeah, okay. First this point. So when Leonato's brother says, in faith, she's too cursed. There's a very important thing to lift what she's about to take out. She's cut it, copy, cut, paste. It's like, oh, I'm going to take that to serve it up in order to then go on her diatribe. I shall lessen God's sending that way. So too cursed is more than cursed. So God sending a cursed course, how, and also having fun with the sounds, the k. I mean, okay, well, what should I do with him? So you may light on a husband that hath no beard. Here's the just easy way she cuts through it. What should I do with him? Doesn't my parent, which gives her an idea.
Mm.
You know, if he doesn't have a beard, he's more than that. And she then surmises and does these little thought journeys. So there's those moments like with her, she can rip off just a real quick band-aid and then say, oh, well, that's an interesting idea. And then has the whole pulling the period towards her kind of thing. So that is something that I would recommend, because you and I both, played the role before, and you more recently, to play with a couple of new rhythms, just to break it up as a challenge for yourself too.
Yeah. Well, it's fun already because they cut a bunch of this stuff in the.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Some of the ones that I get it, I'm like, they cut some of the stuff where you're like, oh, the bird bolt thing gone,
Yeah. I just no. I
do like I really have to work hard to get you to follow what I am saying here.
Yeah. Sometimes Richard Easton would say to us, look, you know what it means, but sometimes it's impossible to convey that meaning by finding different ways to stress it. So just say the line.
Yeah.
And keep going. And I'm like, I'll do that too. Only said with a British accent.
So say everything with a British accent?
He had a British accent. I remember he did this little finger thing. He said that to me when we were doing the bourgeois gentilhomme and I was going to play the lackey number 2. He goes, you shall play my second lackey. I was like, fine. I'm tired. So let's try this again with the idea of that, where when she finds something that she's gonna, oh wait, I got something here. The difference between that and a quick,
yeah,
that one's easy
quick
for me.
Comeback or like, I'm gonna elaborate on this.
Right, I'm at the net. Ping, ping, ping. Yeah. So let's try this again with Leonato, and do yourself a favor and cast. You don't have to tell us, but think of who your Count John or this is sour. And I just love that she comes up with, she got to bring Benedict up, of course, it'd be halfway between him and
instantaneously. First other man I can think of.
Right. So, I mean, whether or not she's aware of I'm bringing him up again or not, that's something also to play with. Like, I know you guys have heard me say this before. Obvious choice, Benedict. Or she just moves through it and you guys can do with it what you want, Lots of things to play with. Okay, so let's start this again. Here we go. Oh, wait, no, you're doing Leonardo. Sorry, Jules.
Okay. Was not Count John here at supper?
I saw him not.
Heartly, that gentleman looks. I never can see him, but I am heartburned an hour after.
He is of a very melancholy disposition.
He were an excellent man that were made just in the midway between him and Benedict. The one is too like an image and says nothing, and the other is too like my lady's eldest son, ever more tattling.
Then half Senior Benedict's tongue in Count John's mouth, and half Count John's melancholy in Senior Benedict's face.
With a good leg and a good foot, uncle, and money enough in his purse, such a man would win any woman in the world if he could get her goodwill.
By my troth, niece, thou wilt never get thee a husband if thou be so shrewd of thy tongue.
In faith, she's too cursed.
Too cursed is more than cursed. I shall lessen God's sending that way, for it is said, God sends a cursed cow short horns, but to a cow too cursed, he sends none.
So by being too cursed, God will send you no horns?
Just, if he send me no husband, for the which blessing I am at him on my knees every morning and evening. Lord, I could not endure a husband.
Stop you right now. Real quick.
Because this could be my prayer also. Lord, I could not endure a husband.
I think it absolutely is. I think God gets her and she's got a great symbiotic relationship. He knows. But the playfulness, so when we get Leonardo, so we'll start with, in faith, she's too cursed. So you're playing with this and cursed can. He sends none. And Leonardo decides he wants to play.
Yeah.
Okay, so too cursed, gotta send you horns. And then the acknowledgement of like, okay, all right, just now let me work this thought.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So back to by my troth, niece, thou wilt never get thee a husband.
By my troth, niece, thou wilt never get thee a husband if thou be so shrewd of thy tongue.
Faith, she's too cursed.
Too cursed is more than cursed. I shall lessen God's sending that way, for it is said, God sends a cursed cow short horns, but to a cow too cursed, he sends none.
So by being too cursed, God will send you no horns.
Just, if he send me no husband, for the which blessing I am at him upon my knees every morning and evening. Lord, I could not endure a husband with a beard on his face. I had rather lie in the woolen.
You may light on a husband that hath no beard.
What should I do with him? Dress him in my apparel and make him my waiting gentlewoman? He that hath no beard is less than a man.
So Leonardo, give her, you may light on a husband that hath no beard. Again, I think
He that hath a beard is more than a youth.
yeah. But the what should I do with them? Dress them as that's another one. These are easy. Like, yeah, come on. All right, let's talk about beards. Those kind of shifts with her rhythm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Have some thoughts on beards.
Yeah, that's just okay. All right, we'll riff on that one, Uncle. Okay, so Leonardo, you may light on a husband that hath no beard.
You may light on a husband that hath no beard.
What should I do with him? Dress him in my apparel and make him my waiting gentlewoman? He that hath a beard is more than a youth, and he that hath no beard is less than a man. And he that is more than a youth is not for me. And he that is less than a man, I am not for him. Therefore, I will even take sixpence in earnest of the bear herd and lead his apes into hell.
Well, then go you into hell?
No, but to the gate. And there will the devil meet me, like an old cockle with horns on his head, and say, get you to heaven, Beatrice, get you to heaven. Here's no place for you maids. So deliver I up my apes, and away to St. Peter. For the heavens, he shows me where the bachelors sit, and there live we as merry as the day is long.
Well, niece, I trust you will be ruled by your father.
Yes, faith, it is my niece's duty to make curtsy and say, Father, as it please you. But yet for all that, cousin, let him be a handsome fellow, or else make another curtsy and say, Father, as it please me.
Hang on. Okay. Yes. I layer in some landing of like telling her some truths.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, because now Uncle Antonio's getting all serious again. Listen to me. And have
We're not into the prince.
That's right.
Speak up.
You don't want to say so. And then, and again, it could be fun to father as it please you, father as it please me, using her voice or whatever kind of thing to keep it light.
Yeah.
So, all right, I will give you, well, niece, I trust you will be ruled by your father. Because who knows, maybe Hero's starting to look a little nervous. I don't know.
I mean, if she does like Claudio, then a proposal from the prince is not ideal.
No, but it's still nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because especially if she actually likes Claudio.
Right. And she's supposed to say yes to the prince.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Not what I wanted, but okay. Okay. All right. So, well, niece, I trust you will be ruled by your father.
Yes, Faith, it is my cousin's duty to make curtsy and say, Father, as it please you. But yet for all that, cousin, let him be a handsome fellow, or else make another curtsy and say, me.
Good.
Well, niece.
I'm going to try that one more time. You froze up a little bit. Sorry.
Oh.
Just play that speech straight.
Cool.
Don't milk it. Don't. I'm not that you were milking it. You know what I mean. Just play it straight. And then really, just lay into her like the kind of thing. Okay. So, well, niece, I trust you will be ruled by your father.
Yes, Faith, it is my niece's duty to make curtsy and say, Father, as it please you. But yet for all that, cousin, let him be a handsome fellow, or else make another curtsy and say, Father, as it please me.
Well, niece, I hope you will be fitted with a husband one day. Or I hope I just said whatever I wanted to. Well, niece, I hope to see you one day fitted with a husband.
Not till God make men of some other metal than earth. Would it not grieve a woman to be overmastered with a piece of valiant dust? To make an account of her life to a clod of wayward moral? No, uncle, I'll none. Adam's sons are my brethren, and truly I hold it a sin to match in my kindred.
Daughter, remember what I told you. If the prince do solicit you in that kind, you know your answer.
The fault will be in the music, cousin, if you be not wooed in good time. If the prince be too important, tell him there is measure in everything, and so dance out the answer. For hear me, hero, wooing, wedding, and repenting is as a Scotch jig, a measure, and a syncopace. The first suit is hot and hasty like a Scotch jig and full as fantastical. The wedding, mannerly, modest as a measure, full of state and ancientry, and then comes repentance. With his bad legs, falls into the syncopace faster and faster till he sink into his grave.
Cousin, you apprehend passing shrewdly.
I have a good eye, uncle. I can see a church by daylight.
The revelers are entering, brother. Make good room.
Excellent. That last speech. Oh, and then, you can still bring in the color back in with, yes, Faith, it is my cousin's duty to make her, and it's cousin's duty. Keep saying niece.
Cousin, I said niece. I was like, what? Well, now I'm your auntie. I don't know what happened to our weird family.
It's fine.
So weird. So weird. It is my cousin's voice. So
just a rare parrot teacher. That's what I am. I heard niece, so I said niece.
So it's it's also, I think it's just sort of playing up. No, Uncle Antonio, yeah, you're right. It's her duty to, say that. Hey, kid, also you have this choice.
Yeah.
Kind of play with it.
Can I say there's a little bit of 7 Ages of Man in this? All the world's a stage.
Yeah.
The 3 stages of woo, wed, and die, or repent and die.
Yeah, she gets a little Jacques on us.
A little bit, but it would try playing with, like, when she has a question, be it rhetorical, but actually really asking it. Like, not till God make men of some other metal than earth, and maybe Leonardo's going, and make your case. I mean, come on. What woman would want to be married to mud? it's like I love Wayward Marl. It's such a
Right?
good
Yeah.
Adam Sons of my brother.
Wayward. Clay, that clay that's so wayward.
Wayward clay. Yeah. The fault will be in the music, cousin, if you be not wooed in good time. So if the prince is too important, tell him there is measure in everything. And so we've got to keep up the whole, just a little ting to, we're back in, I said, probably because if you be not wooed in good time. So just in that, can you know your answer? So that's sort of the thesis, the beginning of this. Aha, the fault will be in the music, good time. So we're going to talk about the different measures and the different beats and rhythms. So here we are. So she's setting up a posit for herself. This is what I think she also has fun with. Okay. So hero. Okay, let's do 3 things having to do with this topic: wooing, wedding, and repenting. No, where am I? Anyway, the third. God damn it, can't find it. But then she expounds on them, which is great. But what's great for the audience in clarity is if you have set it up like that ring on the merry-go-round. So every time you come around, you ting it. So, for hear me, hero wooing. So remember, and she'll say the first suit. So the wooing part. So and we don't consciously know this is happening and this is how we're understanding it. But it's also yet another way to break up her rhythms. Because she has such long speeches. And it also, looking forward to her partial sonnet, it would be interesting to play, and I'm just thinking this, it would be a subtle thing, but when she has she's going with her prose and she's got these ideas and things like that, but when it suddenly is like a verse, hearing herself maybe going into that more of a structure, that the sound coming out of Beatrice is completely different. Well, not completely, she's still Beatrice, but you know what I'm saying. So it looks like that's cute, Nathan.
Great, wonderful session. I love just the specificity you guys are really diving into in a lot of the sections, and I really enjoyed the conversation earlier about just the context of why might this play have been written, and what source material, potential source material, and where did the story go from here. I think that's really fascinating, and actually made me think of a podcast. Many of you guys may have listened to it, but I think it's called Lend Me Your Ears, or Lend Me Your Ear, something like that. Slate put it out, and they did a series on a number of different Shakespeare plays about what may have been the inspiration for some of the plays, given the political climate or other things, cultural touchstones that were going on at the time. So something to check out if you like diving into why might Shakespeare have written about this play at this time? What might else he have been talking about? So
like Macbeth and the gunpowder plays. Yeah.
Exactly. There's and right, like just what's going to happen when Elizabeth dies, like there's just all this uncertainty and all these different things, and there's a number of different plays it talks about, so maybe of interest to people. So this was wonderful, a great session, and excited for you guys to come back for the final week. You'll have Anu. See, she keeps telling us, and I even think of like funu, because she says like fun. So funu. Anu will be here again next week, and we'll finish it up and go from there. So yeah, hope you guys all had a great time tonight.
Awesome, we did. And I know I gave you notes as if you actually are playing those scenes. Like, just email me if you have a preference to one scene you want to do. It may not go your way. It all depends, because if everybody says the wedding scene, then we're screwed. So just let me know your thoughts. Really great work, ladies. Really, really great work. Thank you.
Fun. Thank you.
Of course. Now I want to do it. Now I wanna.
I think also the benefit of all this is being able to read the other characters. Like just that was really kind of cool too. Getting
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, and Antonio is quite a contrast to Leonardo, really. That's fun too. But anyway. So, well,
All right. We'll see you back
thank you,
here
Kat.
next week. For those watching, subscribe, Patreon, check us out, stay involved. Let us know what you think, comments below, all that good stuff. And we'll see you back here for the final week. So that's it. Have a great night, everybody.
Night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.